iRacing.
When old meets new, unexpected things tend to happen. Let's see how a classic F1 car takes to a modern F1 track as we get ready for round 9 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. You'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Jake Sperry. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Jake, this combo has me intrigued, if I'm honest.
It has me intrigued as well, because this is a circuit that a lot of people chalk up onto paper and say, oh no, it's not a great circuit, it doesn't offer everything that we want, it's too tricky in places it shouldn't be, it's too fiddly in terms of the way that it brings itself together. But I seem to quite like this circuit, and I think it gets a bad rep. This is a track that gives the opportunity for many drivers to go and say you got 2 or 3 dedicated overtaking places, and you have to chase and follow at a level that a lot of people aren't really comfortable with. It's a street circuit, quote unquote, but it's got the feel of being open and expansive and expressive, and I think it's quite unique, and that's why it comes across a little bit as a circuit that maybe these 79s might get along with well.
I think unique is definitely a good way to put it, but with Miami only being recently added to iRacing, why don't we get a quick overview with our track guide? Welcome to the Miami International Autodrome. Originally built for Formula One, the circuit has begun to see use with other series and events. It winds its way around the Hard Rock Stadium and its parking lot, which can be found sandwiched between Miami proper and Fort Lauderdale. With 19 turns tucked into 3.6 miles for the Grand Prix course, no need to worry if you've brought a lesser-powered car. There's a total of 5 different layouts with many shorter versions suitable to a variety of vehicles. The first sector throws lots of flowing corners at you before slowing things down at the hairpin of 8. From there, the track weaves some more, but in most cars it's easily flat out all the way until turn 11, offering a tempting passing opportunity. At this point, the track tightens into a series of slow technical turns, including the infamous 14-15 chicane, which navigates one of the few areas with elevation change. And now, your inner speed demon gets unleashed with the incredibly long backstretch down into the sharp hairpin of 17. Like many modern Grand Prix circuits, there is plenty of paved runoff on the outside of most corners, but the street circuit style of it being a temporary track means that concrete walls are also ready to collect you should you overstep your limit. Fast and technical, it rewards precision and bravery. Since 2022, this has become a top-tier venue in North American racing. The fans might come for the Miami vibes, but they'll stay for the thrilling speed. A lot of corners, a lot of lap around here to try and navigate today, Jake.
Yeah, and this is going to be one where we talk about the run from turn 8 to turn 11, from 16 to 17, and then from 19 to 1. Those are the places where you get the most opportunity to go and battle, and there are some very technical sections on this track to go and label together. That complex from 11 over to 16 is one as they fight under the Florida Turnpike there as they work on through. It is the toughest section of this circuit, but it does have expanse, it does have great run, and ultimately I think if you're going to want to be invincible out there, well, we're at the perfect place to get this right now at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, home of the 72 Dolphins, who of course went undefeated in the NFL.
Of course, Jake would pull out a stat like that, but let's take a look at the championship in the meantime, as it's been a bit interesting because you see Valenteus leading by a massive amount of points, and you think, oh, well, he's just dominating another series. Not so. He's won 4 of them. Now, granted, that is a lot of races, but you see the massive gap. You would think that it would be a bit closer. Nobody has really stepped up as the main challenger. That's the big issue. Leonardi has 2 wins, and Jack David Spickett has 2 wins, but Jack has not been consistent. He needs those drop weeks to start to come into effect to take him out of that tie for 4th with Ross Banfield. You get a few other names in there that we typically see a little higher up. Dylan Freckleton not having the best of seasons down there in 10th. We'll see if he starts to gain some points. And then Gabby Martinez, ever the wild card, is up amongst those top 10 as well. But that's just the F1 standings. Jake, let's take a look at the F2 championship.
And this is for those who have less than 3,000 iRating typically. Diego Mastretta currently in charge of that on 403 points. He's 85 clear over Josh Cordell, and Cordell missed the first 3 rounds of the season, so basically he's been fighting with a hand behind his back, and he's doing a really good job of clawing back points. It's then Craig Sandlin and Barry West 3rd and 4th, as Remy Villeneuve is currently in at that 5th position, tied on points. Ben Summers will have Miguel Morland for company in 6th and 7th, with Jesse Brannon in 8th. Brett Wayand then is in 9th, and Keith Herner, ever the accomplished driver here in this series, rounding out your top 10 in the category.
They also hold a teams championship here in this series, and up at the top, JIB Racing, interestingly, is currently at the front by a good amount of points. They do the scoring a little bit different in this one, so 52 looks a lot closer than what we see in the Drivers' Championship, but it really translates to a pretty wide gap. But look at Barry West helping bring Renault into the top 3 currently. Arrows rounding out those first 3 spots, but only by a single point over Ferrari right now. That could easily switch around. Dylan Freckleton doing yeoman's work, bringing TVR up into the top 5 by himself. You could say the same for Josephine Becker, who's got Totoro Racing up into the top 10 in points at this stage of the season with very few weeks left to go. Speaking of which, why don't we get a little bit of an overview of today's race?
So, round 9 of 12, we set ourselves in for the final quarter of this season. We've got to be out there, aggressive, and showing exactly what we're capable of, because these are the money races. You've got to be alert to it. 23 laps today. Doesn't sound like much around this place, but it'll be enough to tick over 40 minutes worth of racing time. With open setups available, they've got to try and build a set that's going to work in this car itself. And if they do get into the barriers, and they are very close around here, there is no spare car to help you out, so avoid them as much as you possibly can. And with this series, a drive-through penalty at 17 iRacing incidents and off-track, for example, is 1. A smash with another car is 4. Disqualification comes along at 25.
This place has so much paved runoff, I feel like it could be a bit of a challenge trying to avoid racking up too many of those incident points if you get sloppy out there. So keep an eye on the drivers. Right now, Valenteus just recently took the pole away from James Berry by about 0.2 of a second. They get 2 timed laps out here to try and set their quickest time. And we're missing, looks like about 7 cars, I think, or so to put one on the board.
Yeah, so with Valenteus currently on top, Zach Leon Hardy has just gone second. We're waiting on Jack David Spickett, Martin Reisman, Keith Herner and Craig Sandlin. Jack David Spickett goes fastest on a 44.6, so that puts him a 10th and a half clear. And there was a point earlier on in this season, Joe, where we sat down at Montreal and we said very simply, after this race, there was 2 wins for Valenteus, 2 wins for Leon Hardy, and 2 wins for Jack David Spickett. The key of the last 2 rounds of the championship, Aldrius has just kicked on and said, this is my championship to try and win. Believe it or not, he's going for his first.
Yeah, he's been so quick in every other car that we've seen him race in the Vintage Series that it's a bit shocking that he hasn't come out on top. This has kind of been the one that he's been trying to master, and now this season it's really come alive, having managed to take 2 of his now 3 triple crowns. Now he's not going to be able to do that this weekend, but he is looking good to try and maybe take a win today and make it 5 out of 9. Let's see if he takes pole back from Jack David Spickett as he crosses the line. 44.832. It's only fractionally faster. He's not going to be our fastest.
But can Zach Leon Hardy say anything out there? Missed last round, and so he comes in a little bit fresher in towards this lovely line through turn 17 as he will work his way back towards Hard Rock Stadium and over towards the line, really attacking over the paint to the line. It's a 144.7. It's not enough for pole, but it is good enough to jump up onto the front row. Critical as far as that goes. Ben Summers crosses the line for a 48.4. That will lift him off of the bottom of the table, and that will be that as far as qualifying goes. There are no other cars out there on server at this point in time.
Everybody done, and everybody gets a time in. This is actually top split, something we should mention. So there is a second split happening simultaneously with about 44 drivers signing up for this afternoon's racing. But these are the best of the best here in these 79s in their Strength of Field event that they do every weekend. And Jack David Spickett has proved the quickest amongst those with the pole. Zach Leonardi, who sits second in the points, will start from second on the grid. Andreas Valenteos, points leader, will be P3. James Barry starts from fourth with Karthik Pai. Great qualifying for him there in fifth position, and Ross Banfield starts next to him. You've got Cal Young in seventh. Mickey Friesen rounds out row number 4. Gabriel Martinez will start from ninth, and then Morera will round out your top 10.
Lowest I-rating driver here is Craig Sandlin. Good qualifying up in 11th. He's done half the work already. Shadi Ahmad is 12th ahead of Diego Mastretta and Jean-Francois Boscus, the veteran, in 14th. Michael Taylor will have Cookie Monster for company alongside in the form of Luke Turnerson in 16th as Barry West and Jesse Brannan are 17th and 18th. It leaves Keith Herner 19th and Martin Reisman making up your top 20. There's only 2 on the next page, so I'll just cover them off for you, Joe, because you've got Ben Summers there in 21st and Tomas Tuba, the Slovakian, who will have to go from the back.
And as they start to grid up, we have to think about that first corner. We've seen in multiple races in real life and here on the sim that it funnels down into turns 1 and 2. It can often cause all kinds of tripping over each other, especially in these open wheel cars, Jake.
They can, and it's a very closed corner, turn 1. You don't have much time to get out of turn 1 into 2 and 3. So quite often what we've seen at races is the checkup. So often is the key, and with open wheels like this, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple tipped around off of the start here today.
Let's cross our fingers it can be nice and clean. Valenteos is going to be the last one to grid up as he's got a few seconds left to make his way out there. Hopefully he doesn't start from pit lane, or that's going to make life extremely difficult around here. But we wait patiently for the rest of them to find their way out for this standing start. And there he is now. 22 cars, much like a modern F1 grid, getting ready to take to Miami International Autodrome as the engines start to rev. The lights are up, and we got a jump start for James Barry. It is going to be a black flag for him immediately. Look at the start from Valenteus. He splits the middle, trying to see if he can take the lead, but Zach has him covered off at the first apex, and through the second, he is barely able to hold on.
Yeah, they're trying to go through. It's a massive amount of pandemonium back at turn 1, though, as everyone's been caught out. I think Martin Reisman was apologising on the radio. He came steaming in from the back, missed his braking zone, and he took a handful of cars out as they worked through. Massive accident then that goes through. That's a huge old smash up then that has caught out Luke Turnerson as one of them there in through turn 4, and I think that was with Jean-Francois Boscus, who got a massive wiggle on through the middle and has gone across then and taken Michael Taylor for trouble.
Also, yeah, saw Michael Taylor there, as you mentioned, who is going to be out of this race, it appears. So already we have multiple drivers falling victim. Look to the inside from Valenteus down into turn 11. Can't quite get it done. Inside, a much shorter run for Zach, but he looked a little bit circumspect around that 180-degree corner. Now it tightens up underneath the turnpike. You can see the cars really bouncing over that apex curve.
Yeah, Leon Hardy knows he's got to jump and get away. James Barry, critically with that penalty, is going to have to come in and serve it as they all push forward. And something that I'm noting really aggressively right now from some of these drivers is how much they're having to slow up for the turnpike. You got JDS there in third, Kartik Pai and Cal Young going out there and battling for position, and Young there in sixth place is ultimately going to say, look, I've had a pretty good start to this one, I'm +1. Pai really struggling as James Barry dives himself into pit lane to serve the penalty. I still think he can get a top 10 out of this one here as Mickey Friesen and Gabri Martinez watch on in tow.
It's going to be a long slog for James to get back into it. Now that we've completed the first lap, why don't we take a look at what happened on the start here down into the corner. We had two separate incidents because there you can see on the outside, two cars making contact, and then Shady Ahmad, unfortunately, the bowling pin for the bowling ball.
Yeah, it was a case of a strike, and ultimately you can't really rack them up here in this one. It's pretty much 10th frame as you try and work on through. So very tough to navigate by, but now they just have to use their focus as they work by some wonderful outdoor arenas out there, the likes of some of the tennis tournaments. The Miami Open is hosted on the right-hand side of this place as they now work themselves over towards the braking zone of turn number 11, through that and in through this next almost amphitheater as you walk through. It's almost like the crowd are over the top of you through that section of turn 12. It almost reminds me of a reverse of, say, the likes of the Sachs curve over at the Hockenheimring.
It does kind of have that sensation. I had never thought about that, but what surprises me is Valenteus is not on the attack anymore. In fact, he's got Jack David Spickett right behind him, pulling up. And as they come into the braking zone of 17, doesn't look like he's willing to risk it at these early stages, but he is keeping that one car in check. Meanwhile, little deep into the corner from Mickey Friesen, he's going to lose at least one spot.
Yeah, Mickey Friesen won't be too happy about the fact that he's overcooked it out there, but I'm sure we're going to get another chance to grab on a GSRC replay because it looks so malicious from that angle. But the one thing I did note looking at that from Jean-Francois Boscus is he had heavy amounts of damage. He couldn't keep the car in a straight line.
That's unfortunate that we've had some innocent victims here at the beginning of this race. Whoa, as way too deep. Somebody has given up another spot to Thomas Tuba, who has really moved forward. That's Jesse Brannon, it looks like.
Yeah, Jesse's gone in and had himself some trouble there, so he knows that he couldn't really afford that. He was 12th at the time, so he drops back then on that mistake, and so this is how quickly it goes wrong. Oh, they tangle. Front to rear wheel, he goes over the top of it and sliding along in at turn 1. It was Thomas Tuba on his outside who was pinched to oblivion.
Tuba was up 10 at one point. He's currently at 9 positive for this race, having started from the very back of the field, but we come back to the battle for second. And again, Valenteus not looking like he's as strong. And again, the bottoms of these cars taking an absolute beating over that chicane to try and be fast around the lap. How much are they going to pay for that over the race? Jack, I think maybe a bit too far back, but he's going to start reeling him in again.
I asked the question, how much downforce do you have? Because this is a really awkward track to set up this Lotus 79 because you've got stop-start sections, you've got high-speed S's to go through, and you need the mechanical grip through the middle of the turnpike section. To say there's one way to build this car, I disagree. I think there's 4 or 5 ways you can build a setup that works around here, and that's going to make overtaking interesting between those who have straight line and those who don't.
And I'm starting to think that Audrius might have that straight line speed, the way he's been able to keep clear. Got a little bit of a battle farther back, coming around the hairpin, being led by Barry West currently.
Yeah, you got to love Barry, who masquerades sometimes with his Nigel Mansell cosplay from time to time we see on his camera view out there as he works on by a very lovable character as Barry West when he goes out there and races for it. But Jack David Spickett with the T-Set sponsorship then on the back is really trying to throw and say, look, this is what I can do. This is what I can find out there at this point. So I think it's going to be really critical as far as it goes, as that is M. Moreira here in 11th.
Yeah, he is down one from where he started, just outside the top 10, chasing on James Berry. See if he could get a spot away from the driver who was penalized early on. Actually kind of shocked that James is all the way up to 10th already. The drive-through must not have been as costly as we anticipated it would be.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be actually quite telling here as far as this goes. So if James Barry is in 10th and he's had over the course of this race a drive-through penalty to go and serve, and he's still come out smelling of somewhat roses here in a race like this one today, I wouldn't call this a bad day at the office. I'll tell you who it has been a good day at the office for, Diego Mastretta, who's there in 9th. But here comes Mickey Friesen again trying to work the Oracle on the outside. But once more, can't quite get there.
He's still right behind Cal Young, though, and he gets a second chance up to turn 1. This is where we've seen a lot of passes happen in the past, but he's guarded by the 3 who takes the inside line into the braking zone. He's much deeper, but he's on the wrong side for the first corner. It'll switch back in his favor, but there you go. We've seen that at the start of the race as well, where it seems like that second turn causes you to have to lift. He's going to cut back underneath into the S's. We're going to go wheel to wheel into a swift set of corners, but Mickey has to give it up.
He does, because he knows that he needs to be fully alongside and sweeping around. He didn't have the clearance go and make that move, and look at them on a tightrope through 7 into 8 and needing the drive off the exit now for this long back stretch as they cut over some of the most important sections of this circuit now through 9 into turn 10, and you're sweeping around looking for turn number 11. Now it's going to be to the outside again to get this done from Mickey Friesen. How brave is he on the brakes? Answer on the outside is not enough. So Cal Young just knows where his mark is. He's not going to get beaten around the outside like that.
He's got to watch out, though, and he'll have no trouble seeing it in the mirrors. Gabri Martinez has joined the party with that distinctive livery coming up and around turn 16 and now launching onto the back stretch. Who's got the run coming up into the braking zone? Looks like Cal Young has pulled himself just far enough away that he's no longer in this fight. It is down to Mickey and Gabri. We ride on the Spaniard's nose coming up to the braking of 17. And as deep as he is, he just wasn't quite there. But don't pay attention to that Nissan. That is still a Lotus that is in front of him right now. Mickey able to just cling to that 7th place.
Yeah, he's doing a good enough job here as here comes Craig Sandlin in a battle now. They are racing along Northwest 203rds. We got the onboard look at Barry West with quote-unquote his picture. No, it's Nigel Mansell there behind. Sandlin overcooks it as he goes in, and ultimately Barry West is going to pick that one up, and so too looks like Keith Herner as they're going to walk side by side over to turn 1. It's going to be a case that Sandlin's got the drive then, and I think he's going to win out on the brakes, and he does so into the opening corner with a tiny lockup as he works on through. Great section of road as you drive up. Then it's the confluence of Northwest 203rd, Joe, and Carl F. Barger Boulevard. Carl F. Barger, an accountant in his time, but someone who was very influential in founding the Miami Marlins.
Huh. Again, you've got so many factoids about NFL teams that I, as an American, don't even know.
The Miami Marlins are a baseball team, Joe.
Oh. And actually, I did know that, but I'm just so caught up in NFL mode with the stadium. But Barry West here is got some trouble with Craig Sandlin coming up to the braking of turn 17. Craig's got the inside. He's got a nose ahead. Now he just has to get the job done. It weaves back and forth, including the last little kink into the corner here. And it looks like he can call that one a slam dunk if we're going to go for ball sports comparisons. Now, he's got to worry because Keith Herner and Martin Reisman are also in the fray. Oh, no, never mind. Let's go to Martinez.
Yeah, bring the heat, why don't you? On the brakes around the outside, and that ultimately for Mickey Friesen is just enough room, racing room there. Gabri Martinez just sitting back, just waiting for that opportunity to come along in the pop art car. Can there be a chance then for a comic book superhero story on this? Friesen working the outside again. Does he have enough clearance into 2? Oh, it's a carbon copy of what he's trying to do, because again he's trying to cut up and under. Cal Young is sensitive to it. Dives a little deeper, gets shallower through the corner to block off the run, and so there's no chance into turn number 4. This must be frustrating for Friesen and Martinez here.
And what surprises me about all this, Jake, is that Martinez is typically known as a bit more of an aggressive driver. We haven't seen him stick his nose in yet. I feel like in days past, I would have expected to see that car send one up the inside when the door opens.
Yeah, you'd expect a superhero's move. You expect him to be this uber-aggressive driver that Gabri can just chuck it in at any point, but he doesn't have the luxury at the moment. He watches Mickey Friesen. I think he's been working on his temperament as Gabri Martinez. Mickey having to take 2 takes into the corner. Does he have the... Oh, he was all 4 off the road. He's going to have to be given room by Cal Young. That's very cheeky there for Mickey Friesen, but he's covered off pretty much everything as he's gone through, probably with an off-track incident point, and they batter that curb here. And on a car with ground effect, you just have no downforce as you walk through that section.
It's awful brave of these drivers to keep doing that repeatedly. And again, they all weave back and forth across the back straightaway to try and set themselves up, pull as much slipstream as possible into the braking of the hairpin of 17. Mickey's going to go for it once again, but he does not get the overlap, as Cal Young's been doing a fantastic job holding him off so close to the wall as sparks fly up off of the Lotus.
Yeah, it's just a case that Cal Young's got his blocking boots on and nobody's really got anything to try and show otherwise, and he's going to run up the back then. Is Mickey Friesen, who overcooks it as he goes through. No damage to the front wing, no damage to the nose either, so he'll be very happy with it. Very flat and low to the ground is the wing and the nose. It almost acts like a ramp. It's like watching one of those flipper robots in BattleBots.
It does kind of have that effect on it, but Gabri Martinez still giving watch from behind. He's been getting ever closer. These two have got to watch out. No change up at the front for those curious. Leonardi and Valente has been staying apart by about 3/4 of a second. This has been where much of the action is, towards the top of the field, trying to straight line their way through the run down towards the braking of 11. Nobody able to make any attempts this time amongst these 3, so they stay as Young in 6th, Friesen 7th, and Martinez 8th.
Yeah, they stay exactly as they are, and for the moment, Cal Young is going to be resolute in his positioning, and will understand that this here today is going to be all about how he wants to try and get this pass, how he needs to get this position. But I'm turning around, I'm looking at this, and I really think now is going to be the chance to go and get it here. Friesen's got a lovely run to the inside, and finally I think he'll say thank you very much. Jams it on the brakes. Can he get it slowed up? Not as much as I thought he would, but he gets the job done.
That was many laps in the making, and Cal just couldn't hold him off in the end. He's not out of it yet, though. Still within striking range to try to fight back, but he's also got to worry about that number 8 car, who looks very strong under braking down into turn 1. Just can't manage to get an attempt in to get by that number 3 car as they once again work their way into the S's section. Is this where we see Mickey Friesen start to pull away?
Yeah, this could be where Mickey now says, look, I'm going to be one of the best. This is where I'm going to say I'm going to pull away. I'm going to make it happen. Shadi Ahmad out of the race. He had damage to his side pod out there, which said too much for me to continue on. But Mickey with the opportunity to run now. Look at how much time they've lost, Joe. 6.5 seconds out there to Kartik Pai. So Cal Young and Gabri Martinez will be turning around at it and saying, right, I think that I'm safe if I'm in front. Gabriel will be going, I want to get through A, S, A, and P.
Yeah, we're only 9 laps in, and this group is a full 15 seconds behind our overall leader. So their battling has cost them quite a distance to the top group. They all try to get the launch coming out from underneath the turnpike. So crucial through there to get the power down as best you can on these huge, chunky rear tires on the Lotus 79. And here we go again. Now it's Mickey Friesen's turn to try and watch the mirrors to make sure that Cal Young does not repeat the feat, and I think he's got it covered.
I think he does as well. And there it is. Gabri's he's trying to get on the power off the exit here as the Spaniard. He's looking at it saying, right, what do I need to do to get this Momo steering wheel turned around? Where do I need to find this chance that goes Okay, move's going to be there. Turn 1 is one of those places you can chuck it. He's not going to get it done, but I think patience is going to be the key here. He takes a lot more curb at 2, a lot more curb at 3, but a lot more curb doesn't always mean you're quicker. It is the path of least resistance, but you've also got to have that mini climb and mini drop of the hill that you've got to be so alert to.
Now, if they keep fighting, they do have to be concerned because James Barry, after his penalty, has been setting great laps. He's in the 145s. Only other driver to be doing that right now other than Leon Hardy and Valenteus in the top 2. So at 3.5 seconds back, he's going to be making up time fast on this trio.
Yeah, so I'd look at James Barry. If he can get 6th place out of this, that is a minor miracle that he's been able to get out of it. But here comes Gabri, straight to the inside, cut back up and under from Cal Young. He'll try and go the long way around, and the long way doesn't work. So Gabri Martinez, resolute, turn 11 is an important place to get the pass, and now he can set his sights on Mickey.
And look at how dirty it is offline already in this race. So if you're having to go offline, it's probably not advantageous at this stage. And we were talking about Barry. That's him in the red Ferrari just behind, already within sight of this group. There he is, the number 4.
Yeah, he is on a charge. He normally drives out there for Inert iRacing team, and he is normally piloting around in the Radical SR10. So he has so much experience, Joe, on cars that have a absolutely magnificent amount of drift, and you have of slipstream, and you have to do so much work to think about where you are in the field compared to your competitors. He's got a brain for racing, and I think everyone else should be very scared about how he places and overtakes.
Well, I said that it was staying consistently 3/4 of a second between P1 and P2. Zach has lost a little bit of that. I don't think it's dire quite yet, but if I'm the number 6, I don't want to give Valenteus any sniff of a chance at the win.
I don't think he's got a choice, though. I think Adrius is holding that pace very well, and no matter what Zach tries to do here, he's not going to be able to shake him, and I think this is going to be one where Adrius knows they're slowly building a gap away from Jack David Spickett. They've pulled 3 seconds, and so Adrius will wait for a time where battling is going to work, because you can lose upwards of a second a lap battling around this place, and he'll figure it out and go, yeah, I'll try and play this as game theory. Last chance that I can possibly can to make this move will be the place where I'll go for it. I would look at turn 17, final lap. That is the ultimate rubber stamp. I get this move done place on circuit.
It's down to 1/4 of a second now, and he's strong on the brakes down into 17. It's not an actual attack for a pass, but he is closing into where he could do something soon. This latest lap, let's see what the times look like between them. 45.4 for Zach, 45.3 for Adrius.
Yeah, and they both note here with Valenteus getting the fastest lap of the race there as they go by. This car is going to get lighter and lighter as they take less fuel as they work through. The tyre wear isn't the issue, it's just how much they heat it up that is going to be that matter of fact on a track temperature today, which we haven't talked about, Joe. It is Miami hot. It's 41 degrees out there.
105 Fahrenheit for the non-metric folks. Yeah, it is pretty greasy. Not going to be the best of conditions for these cars that want to stay grippy on the ground. Barry West in the meantime. This is his battle with Keith Herner for 15th on the track. Both of them having gained from the attrition that we've seen today. Barry's actually going to cover the inside coming up into the braking of turn 1. Herner maybe going for a cutback. No, doesn't have it in him.
Well, hopefully he doesn't fight with James Barry out there, because they don't want to be a couple of Barrys out there going out and making their action. But Keith Herner has been trying to look left, right, up, down, slant ways, use the great glass elevator if he can to get the pass. But Barry's been resolute. He's just hit his marks very well. He's made life very tough for Keith Herner to find a way through, and he just sits on that outside track trying to open up the corner. Slightly misses the apex though through turn 8. This is the chance for Keith Herner.
It's a lot closer now. You can see Barry looking in the mirrors, watching to see where he is going to go, but it's hard to predict because of it weaving back and forth. Which way do you try and place the car as they go wheel to wheel down to the braking of 11? Barry gets the inside once again. Keith Herner going to see if he can make this happen, but no dice as he has been fended off once more.
That's been fended off, and Audrey has had a little sniff to the outside of turn 1. So he's starting to think about, where do I go and attack Zach Leon Hardy? He pulls the gap back out to 0.3 of a second, working through turns 4 and 5, and suddenly the dirty air comes back into play again. And this is the nightmare that Aldrius is sitting in. Every time he hits these long sweeping corners, he can't get the punch through the air to go and gather it back. But when he's got that punch through, when he can build it up to attack, he looks wonderful.
And it did seem like there was a bit of a slide from the one car coming off of turn 6 there. I wonder if maybe he just has that lack of downforce costing him on corner exits. Under braking, he's very brave, and he closes it all back up once again. Now, if you are Zach Leon Hardy, you are in trouble, I think, because we still have 11 laps to go. We're only barely halfway through this race, and if Aldrius's car is getting stronger, I think he set that up for the end of the event.
I think he has, and just look at how much curb you can take going over that chicane. Zach Leon Hardy did not get a slowdown penalty for that as he jumped over the curb. It was a lot more poise from Aldrius, who took a wider, more natural line, I would say more conventional through the corner. It cost him a couple tenths, but how much are you willing to scrape over the floor? Speaking of those looking to scrap, well, it's now a 3-car train of Gabri, Cal, and James, who now sit themselves together. So James Barry has the job of trying to get a double toe to go and get these passes done. And he is marauding along this straight, chucks it up the inside.
Whoa.
Can he make it just one? Yes, he can. That's a lovely pass, but he gets oversteer as he puts the power down. Cal Young's got half a chance to get back, Joe.
Credit to Martinez. I was afraid he was going to chop down to the apex, but he left enough space for Barry after he was deep into the hairpin. And Mickey Friesen, let's not forget, used to be a part of this. He's run away, so he was clearly the car that was being held up in this group. Now, setting off for the Spaniard in the number 8 car. James Barry has one more on his list to get into 7th.
Yeah, so the difference there is key. It is really all about how they set themselves up, how they understand the end of this race, and they've seen how much time they've actually dropped through the various corners out there. James Barry, for the first time, is going to have to really deal with some dirty air, and I think Cal Young now has a chance to fight his way back along this run through the right of 9, the left of 10 that comes along next. And Cal, I think, has been very solid in the way that he's gone about. I think the only issue he's got is he's got an old GSRC logo on it, Joe, so it's costing him 1/10 of a second compared to a brand new shiny one.
Exactly, and as the 3 stay as they were coming now through the little stadium section here. Oh, we got to go back to our leaders because Zach is now feeling it up. He goes defensive. He leaves just enough of a car's width open, but Audrius is not able to get the overlap needed. That is extremely aggressive for Audrius to be willing to go all the way to the inside if he feels there's a gap.
I don't think he went all the way, though, and I think that's quite telling in the way that defense was. Leon Hardy was late to it, and he slides and misses an apex slightly, does Zach Leon Hardy, as here comes James Barry, straight down to the inside. Can he get the rotation through the corner? Drive against Gabriel off the exit. Quit is not a word in his Spanish dictionary, because he just holds it and pins it and says, no, I'm going to keep that place. But James will get a miniature run here towards turn 1. He'll lunge this one back down the inside. Gabriel breaks him into the corner, and ultimately they stay as they are.
That was great stuff from Martinez. I thought that pass was done, and somehow he held on. Did that dirty up the tires a little bit maybe for the number 4 as he seems to struggle, allowing Cal Young to start to go back on the attack, but it's hard to pass through there. We're going to have to leave it, though, because coming down into turn 11, there's another big look. Left a little bit of space, did Zach, trying not to chop off and make contact between himself and his rival. He will hold on to the lead, at least for the time being, but what's going to happen over the back straightaway?
I think Aldrius realizes he's not going to get alongside. He's going to have to make a dive if he wants to get this pass, and this is what he doesn't want to do. Risk this race. James Barry's with a massive slide as he checks up. He'll get the drive off the exit, but ultimately it's showing the level that they're having to go. Aldrius isn't close enough to go lunging, but he's right up underneath, and this will open up turn one. He's almost sniffing the gearbox as he works on through out of 17 and back along to the main straight here as they'll intersect 1, 2 and 3 along Don Shula Drive. Now here comes the chance then. Leon Hardy is defending very, very resolutely here, and the more he defends, the more he falls back into the quagmire.
Meanwhile, looks like Barry may have gotten past. He's going to get repassed coming down into 17, and Martinez is back in front of him once again. That red car was fully in front of the number 8 before they headed into the corner. How did he do that?
He's Gabri Martinez. He boggles the minds of many sim racers out there as James overcooks it into turn one. I think he's getting frustrated, Joe.
It's certainly looking like he is reaching his limit in what is a race that it could have been so much more. Started from 4th, only looking to maybe get himself up into 7th. I think 6 is probably going to be off the cards. They've lost so much time. Up to Mickey and back to Zach and Aldrius. This time, it looks like the one car was not able to get the overlap.
No, but he is now trying to hold himself steady because he's got a couple corners here under the Florida Turnpike access that he can start understanding. Right, this is where I go. So much rotation speed from Zach Leon Hardy through turn 16. That's more than enough to cover it. And I wonder those laps, those 5 laps we've seen Aldrius Valenteas chucking the car through and trying to dive at each and every corner. I wonder if he's overheated the tyres. I wonder if he needs a couple laps back at 4-5 tenths of a second to give himself a truly great run with cooler tyres.
It does seem to be very close coming onto the main straight. I keep thinking that turn 1 has got to be the trick for him, but he maybe doesn't have the launch off the corner to really make it happen. He is forcing a defense from the 6 just about every time they come into the first turn. Tries to cut back underneath, but just nothing doing. Last time, Martinez managed to slice back through on Barry. This time he does get to the inside, and again, off into the marbles. It seems like James Barry cannot get the throttle down.
He can't get there, but now he'll get the run at 1, so this is perfect in terms of what he sets. Gabri all the way to the pit wall, forces James Barry to go the long way around. Can he get the drive then off of 1 through to 2 and 3? No, he's stuck again. So this is very much a case of the Gabri train is in full form, and it once more proves that it is not easy to make these passes. Maybe turn 4 offers an opportunity at the inside. Gabri sweeps around.
Try to sell him a dummy, and at the last moment, tucked to the inside, but it just was not meant to be. Still, you talked about desperation and frustration. James Barry now trying to get creative out there.
Well, if the tried and tested places don't rough or remove, that's going to be really key. Almost contact between Aldrius and Zach as they worked on through turn 14 and 15. Aldrius bounded over the curb so aggressively, he almost found himself planted in that Ford DFV Cosworth engine.
But that has put him much closer than he's been in the past. Zach once again all the way to the inside, switches back to the outside. He leaves the door open, but it was a wise move in the end, as it looks like Valenteas wasn't near enough. We're going to be 6 to go at the line. Zach was strong at the start, but he's been on a rear guard since many laps ago now. And thus far, he's successful. I have to give him credit, but it's looking like it's getting harder and harder.
It's getting difficult now, and they're looking around. There's a little bit of cloud cover that comes along. It drops the track temperature to 38 degrees, a little bit more pliable out there than what it was, and I think they set themselves up. Gabri and James side by side. Oh my goodness, Gabri sliding it ahead there of James Barry as if he's just kicking the tail and putting style points on. Barry looks for the inside. Gabri outbreaks not just himself, but everyone else in the world into turn 1, and the outside line still holds.
I can't believe he's still in that position. I don't think James Barry can believe he's still in that position. Not going to be able to do the same thing this time to sneak inside up into turn 4. Maybe looking to switch back underneath him, though. as we continue to keep half an eye on our leaders. This is where we had that mistake last time, and you could see why Valentes was so close. A big moment for Zach to try to catch the car.
Yeah, he had to catch it. Aldrius just bounded over and it made it close. And suddenly James Barry's down one. So Cal Young has found his way down the inside. He snuck one through at turn 7 into turn 8. James will throw this around the outside, gets the overspeed, better on the brakes, he gets in. I don't know where you're supposed to look if you're James Barry. You got one head in front, one head behind, and suddenly, as it sets out, you're stuck in Schrodinger's overtake where you've got to do both at the same time.
My only concern is that Barry might get himself into trouble. Ross Banfield maybe has done a bit of that as he goes deep into turn 1, parks it, might just call it a day. No, he carries on, but 6th place is still his, thankfully.
Well, I'm just looking around at that. Turn 1, it would indicate to me that was more than just I've got a problem as he goes through, because he didn't turn at all, the car. That looked to me technical as a failure, and he had to reset something out there. Maybe his VR, maybe something on his screen to give him those couple seconds to go and focus with. But still, though, Gabri Martinez keeps his defence in place. So too, James Barry and Cal Young try and find a way through. This has been really entertaining stuff, and I think it goes to the fact that Cal Young here hasn't wanted to just sit back and be a passenger in this. He also wants to be getting up these 2 places.
And I want to correct myself that Ross Banfield did get overtaken by Mickey Friesen for a top 5. So Mickey up 1 more now in the points, as James Barry was on the attack. Now he's playing defense as Cal Young has had enough of this messing around. He wants to try and get that spot back. If you can't do it, I want to repass him.
Well, if you want to get through, you're going to have to do so the right way. And Gabri now is seeing that with Cal Young getting a little bit into the mirrors, it's the case that he can start pulling a half a second here that James Barry can't find a way through on. I wonder if he's cooked the tyres a little bit too much here, that he's been looking so aggressively everywhere, has James Barry, that he's not left himself enough for the end here.
I'm pretty sure that they've used up a lot of that rubber now that you say that, because there's been so much dicing between these cars, heavy into the braking zones, using up what they've got. These two as well, probably losing a little bit of grip. Amazingly, though, they're still setting laps that are generally faster than Jack David Spickett back in 3rd, so he's not been able to catch up. He's still hovering around, so if they have some sort of spin, they're definitely going to lose a spot to the number 7, who desperately needs the points, because he is so far behind at this stage in the championship. Despite 2 wins, he needs to be beating these 2 to really get back into the hunt. Coming up and around once again out of turn 8 as they start to accelerate away. Zach looks like he just has mastered those corner exits, because each time he seems to outgun the 1 car.
And that's partly the dirty air, as now Valentes and Leon Hardy set themselves eyes on turn 11. I think this has been down to the fact that he's just got such a good drive off the exit. He's got no dirty air in front. He can take the line he wants without any drama at all. Aldrius following is going to be there, and he's going to be worrying. The blinking in front's not going to be helpful either as they work through, and Aldrius takes a very, very, I would say, conventional line through. Look at how much time it costs him there. 3/4 of a second, and immediately moving over to the left-hand side to try and shake some draft is Leon Hardy. He knows that's the moment he's got to try and brake.
We can't stress enough how distracting it is when the car in front starts to blip out like that. And I have a feeling that had an effect on why he was a bit offline coming through the chicane. Just a bit worried, wondering where that car is going to be in case he has another bobble. You don't want to wind up tangling with him if he spins just as his internet connection goes out once again. He cuts it back down to about half a second, so he's still in it. And speaking of still in it, James Barry still fighting hard with Martinez, who doesn't seem to have the straight line speed. We've seen this time after time. Does he cut across to defend this time? No, he leaves the door open, and that's allowed Martinez each and every time to fight back and retake the position. At what point does James Barry completely cover the inside? Well, he's going to have the inside into turn 1 this time. This he has not done yet. Usually it is Gabri that has managed to put himself in the ideal spot into this first corner. And as they swing through, oh, he still holds on to it, but it might not be for long. And no, he's too shy on the throttle. Finally, James Berry is ahead.
Yeah, but watch Cal Young now. He's going to get himself involved in this 3-car scrap. He's got his eyes set here into turn 4. Gabri says no. He follows resolutely behind here, and he's just so much better on the brakes. Look how shallow is the attempt to try and get through. He just nibbles at the heels of James Berry, who understeers wide from it. So cheeky there from Gabri Martinez. That's how he steals a place back.
Just when you think it's finally over, but here we go again. He's going to have to do it the long way around, and as we've been saying, that 4-car seems a lot faster in a straight line. Again, he leaves the door open. No, this time he gets wise to it. He covers him off down into 11, and I think he might have finally got him.
Oh, at long, long last, James Berry, he has been put through the ringer trying to get this past. Gabri has thrown everything at it to try and keep him at bay, but he looks like he's about 3 laps shy, and now it's all about the fight coming out of this left of 16 on the run to turn 17, and I think finally James Berry can open the taps.
Yeah, this, I think, should be job done unless that's an incredible slipstream for Martinez, and it doesn't look like he's worried about what's behind. Cal Young instead filling his mirrors as they reach turn 17. As long as there's no mistakes, I think that we can say that James Berry has finally solidified P7 after many laps of battling. We're at 2 to go. Make it really 1.5 because Zach Leonhardi and Andreas Valenteus are back to half a second apart.
Yeah, but Aldrius here is needing the drive as Gabri can't get a look in at turn 1. I think the key to this one, Joe, if they're going to settle it out, Aldrius is going to have to lunge somewhere because Leon Hardy has kept him at an arm's reach pretty much everywhere.
And that's what he's needed to do. Fastest lap of the race, I think still... Actually, no, it goes to Jack David Spickett. No, it does go to Valenteus, it looks like, right now.
Oh,
and a mistake! In the same corner we saw it happen before, Zach Leonhardi, with just a little more than a lap to go, has given it up, and Valenteus now has free rein to the finish.
That's just pressure. That's championship pressure right there. You have been underneath that amount of work and strain and stress for practically the entire race, and Zach Leon Hardy knows that he's been attacking over that curve better than anyone else. You see how it sat down a little wrong. Aldrius did so well to keep it out of the rear right tyre there of Zach Leon Hardy, but now as they sit and Mickey Friesen fights Kartik Pai for 4th, Aldrius Valenteus, that might be the moment that could seal his first championship.
And Mickey Friesen, what a race this has been, fighting through that trio that he was in before. As he gets into the back of Karthik Pai. Commentators curse once again. It was all good until it wasn't. And now Ross Banfield is back in the hunt as well. We don't know what kind of damage is on the nose of Mickey Friesen.
Well, Mickey knows that he got that top 5 courtesy of the troubles that Ross Banfield had, and he's trying to push into turn 4 to give himself a chance. I'll tell you who else has got a chance. Jack David Spickett, the gap 0.6 of a second. He might have a chance to the final corners out there to go snipe second away. Kartik, how much damage does he have on the rear of his car? Keep that in mind as well. Ross is going to have a really good chance in that red 5 Williams to go and get a move done.
Up to the breaking of 11, that's not going to be the last chance to try and make a pass, so we'll have to keep an eye out for later in the race amongst these 3. Mickey watching, and here comes Ross Banfield. He wants that spot back. He gets it side by side, but just doesn't have it off the turn.
He doesn't, but he'll also know that this guy does. And Joe, he's only a couple corners away.
What a race from Aldrius. This was not all his own way as we get a little side-by-side between Cal Young and Gabri Martinez, but that pales in comparison to the run to the victory for Valenteus here in race number 9.
3-peat, Simple as that. 1, 2, 3 in a row. He's done so brilliantly. Zach Leon Hardy, a rueful second. Jack David Spickett not close enough for third. Kartik is going to hold on for fourth here, as that is a spin for Ross Banfield through the final corners. So he's going to have to get it up to speed and quickly, because there's James Barry, who's just a little too late on the scene.
Friesen has to settle for fifth. It could have been one more, but a mistake has cost him, and Banfield.
Oh, no!
Oh, Cal Young, what has happened in the final two turns? Two wheels on his car. He's not going to be able to finish.
He's just had a slide, tried to put the power on, and now he knows his day is going to be written as he spins around and tries to limp that one back across the line. I think he'll be very unlucky, as there is Craig Sandlin looking for away by Ben Summers, and if they're lucky, they might get a chance to beat him. Ed Moreira, I think, is going to beat Cal Young to the line here, and these two might as well. Cal is desperate to get there. Look at it, it's just there in front of him. There goes one. Are these two going to go three wide over the line? Oh, it's going to be just enough for Cal Young. He crosses a 10th ahead. That had a look of Cars 1 out there with the King Strip Webbers, Lightning McQueen, and Chick Hicks about it.
I've never seen a car drag itself to the line on two wheels. That was crazy. But how did he get here? And did he just clip the back of him? That was very strange.
He just lost it on power, Joe.
Oh.
It's just simply put, he just put too much right foot down on it.
Oh, well, quite the ending to this one. And we are going to go through our finishing results, which sees Andreas Valenteus take another win, his third in a row. But it was a tough one for him, as he had to fight Zach Leon Hardy all the way. And it might save 5 seconds, but it was less than a second for the majority of this race. Jack David Spickett, only a third today, almost got himself into P2. Karthik Pai holds on to that fourth over Mickey Friesen. Those two were making up after the race, so there were no hard feelings despite the contact. And then Ross Banfield was in sixth. It was James Barry in P7. Gabri Martinez winds up eighth after a spirited defense. And Diego Mistretta, P9, ahead of Moreira in 10th.
In 11th position, Cal Young basically dragged that Lotus 79 home, kicking and screaming for 11th place, as he would just beat out Ben Summers and Craig Sandlin over to the line on a Cars-style finish. Barry West and Keith Herner have finished 14th and 15th, with Tomasz Tuba, Martin Reisman, Jesse Brannan, your last finisher on the lead lap. Everyone else from here is retirement, so Shadi Ahmad and Michael Taylor both run into troubles, and troubles befell a lot on the opening lap, including Luke Turnison and John-Francois Bosco.
So we've got our second place finisher ready to chat with us, Zach Leon Hardy. Let's see how he feels about how that race went, but more importantly, let's talk about that chicane under the turnpike. Zach, we saw you guys absolutely clobbering the curb every lap, which kind of shocked us, but what was it actually doing to the car trying to send it over that thing?
Man, it was a lot of fun. I actually, in practice, I hadn't been running over it like that. And then I saw in the pre-broadcast race, Andreas and Jack were, and they were faster than me. So I started trying to practice it. But all week, I've tried different things through it. I haven't spun out on it, and decided to defend all race and then give it away.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's frustrating, but it was an incredible defense up to that moment. Knowing that you're chasing him in the championship, do you still have hopes in the final 3 rounds that you can do something to fight back, or was this kind of the last-ditch effort?
No, we'll see. I don't know. I think with the points, I don't know if there's any way I can beat him, just because of the fact I think his only drop is 4th. I don't know if he's had any other finishes worse than that. So, but no, it was a really fun race. I'm not hanging up about that. That was really fun with Andreas, and just missed my entry a little bit, grabbed the curve, and gave it up.
Well, next time out, we're actually going to a track that's going to be a lot more fast corners. Do you see yourself doing well over at Mosport?
I'm hoping so. To be honest, I totally expected Thruxton to be a drop for me. I barely did any practice. I didn't think I'd be very good there. We did pretty well, and then last season with Phillip Island, I did really well. So I haven't driven Mosport in a few years, but I like the track a lot, so I've got some high hopes. But no, just go have fun. I think it'll be a good race, and forget what's after that before the last race. Zolder.
It looks like Silverstone will be splitting that. So, yeah, I like the optimism, and we hope to see a good race as well. Regardless, congratulations on a podium today.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
So that was Zach Lee and Hardy finishing P2. It was a pretty good race for Barry West. I believe Jake has caught up with him.
Well, Barry, it's +3 for the day on a circuit that a lot of people have said incredibly difficult out there overall. And I think it started for a lot of drivers with the mess that was turn 1. So talk us through how you pick yourself through the pieces.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mess. I can just about hear you. It's very faint. Yeah, it's not too good, turn 1. I got a few places, and then I think Martin Weisman, I think he must have just completely missed his braking point, because I was just watching it. I had Keith Herner. Keith beat me in the week. He had more pace than me, but I just stuck a bit more downforce on and managed to keep him off. But yeah, it was every lap had to be like focused, because it's so slippy. It's not enjoyable when it's this bad. And I hope we don't come back here in this weather anyway.
No, very hot weather, and hopefully that'll be a little bit better for you. So hot weather has been very difficult to try and get with, but you had to fight hard on the defense there. You had the likes of Craig Sandlin behind you. Keith Herner was a very good battle with you. So in terms of dealing with the tough conditions out there, how important was it with this car just to master the corners before the long straights? Because it's one of those tracks where all these long, higher speed corners basically just chop up the rhythm.
Yeah, you just have to really focus on your exits. If you messed it up, I mean, Craig was quicker than me anyway, and we didn't. I didn't hold him up too much, I don't think. But it's turn 7. It's so many different lines in turn 7, and I think I found a better line now. But I was toasting the week. But yeah, it's interesting track. I'd love to race it with more grip.
So, more grip, certainly going to be the key when it comes to the next rounds of the championship. So, as you set yourself up, does Mosport give you any respite in that regard?
Yes, it's my favourite track, to be honest. The first time I went there, I love the track.
Well, yeah. I will say, go enjoy it, Barry, and go give yourself a good rest after that one. +3 and a really good job for the day. Thanks,
Jet. I might not be here next week because I got an operation Thursday, but I hopefully come do Wednesday, and I'll try and make Sunday. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it if I can.
Well, best of luck on the operation from all of us here at GSRC, mate.
Okay, thanks, man. Cheers, Jay.
I think that's going to wrap up our interviews for today. So we want to give a big thank you ourselves to the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also, thanks to our team, Jake, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a moment. And also, you'll make sure not to miss Mosport, as we said, next Sunday, May 24th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, you can watch that and the Indy 500 at the same time. But we've got more races in case you missed that one, including the Nürburgring for the Porsche Owners Club. That's going to be a serious challenge. Be sure to check out all the other races that we have listed. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.